maybe a year or two ago, and I said, ma'am, can I have your autograph? Like that. She turned around. She goes, Houston. It's really cute.
That's great. I have posters of people that you've met in real life. That makes me feel very good about myself.
A Dalek? Yeah, exactly.
All
Hey,
right,
so we're
cool.
live.
We are live. This is episode 58 of our weekly Geekout session. I am Russell Holly. Sal, could you introduce yourself in a way better than I just did?
Hey, I'm Sal Congeloso from Geek.com and ExtremeTech.com.
And we are joined this week by Mr. Huston Huddleston. How are you today, sir?
Hello. I'm halfway decent. Yeah. Thank you. How are you?
Not too bad. I learned a great deal about you recently. Not the least of which, of the incredible things that you have accomplished in your life is that you own one of the bridges to the Starship Enterprise.
I actually own two of the bridges to the Star Trek Enterprise. I have the Enterprise D from Star Trek Next Generation, and I've got pieces from the original series bridge. I mean, what we have is like 90% of the D bridge, and I don't know how many percent. It's not the complete original series bridge because most of it was thrown out and damaged because when I found it, it had been sitting outside for 5 years. So, you know, you can imagine with the elements.
You quite literally found the bridge to the Enterprise outside, just kind of collecting dirt and dust and rain, and have spent quite a bit of time fixing it up and taking it to everywhere. I've seen photos of this bridge, people sitting in the chairs of this bridge from so many different comic book conventions and kind of sci-fi conventions, and just
Well,
all
to
over the
me,
place.
yeah, well, to me, it's like we when we initially raised the money for Kickstarter in 2012 for to save the bridge, restore the bridge,
Yeah.
we raised about 68,000, and that was only about a third of what we needed to finish the bridge. So I said, okay, well, I don't want to go screwing the fans. So what we can do is we'll first pay off all the bills that needed to be paid off because uh, we're a nonprofit foundation, and there are a lot of tax and lawyer stuff, as well as the money I'd already put into the bridge before that. And so I figured we'll restore the few pieces that we can restore, which is the chairs, the main computers, the main center section that everyone is used to seeing, and take it on the road. And I thought it would be, it would make fans happy. It would be great publicity. It would be something to give back to the fans as opposed to Kickstarter where you never hear from the people again. And I thought, okay, we'll do that. And man, we've been to 23 different conventions now since the late well, over like a year and a half we went to 23 different conventions, which is insanity. And that's bringing the bridge. That's not just, hey, we're showing up and I'm gonna get on a jet. No, this is
Yeah.
like bringing the whole friggin' bridge to those things.
Like, what does
You
it
know,
take to move something as huge as that set?
a
Like, what do you end up
16-foot
having to go
truck.
through?
Oh God, hell is what we went through. Uh, it's a 16-foot truck. Usually we rent one, but when it's longer than say California, further than that, it's we haven't found one company that we've been dealing with directly, but we take it and it's three guys to load it and three guys to or two guys and one really strong girl to unfurl this thing, and it usually takes about an hour, 2 hours to put it all together, and make sure the lights are working and all that stuff. The most insane one that we went to yet, as far as unpacking, packing, and all that, was Salt Lake City Con because we set it up on the floor the first day, and then we had to set it up on the stage because uh, Bill Shatner and the TNG cast wanted to sit on it during their panel at night. So in the morning we had to set it up on the stage. We had to take it off the stage, put it back on our floor, and then we had to take it off the floor and put it back on the stage. And then the next morning we had to put it back on the floor. That was it was a horrible experience, but it was a wonderful experience because Bill Shatner sat in our chair for 2 hours. And also, those Salt Lake City people were so gracious, and they got it. They got how awesome this was, and they kept bringing more stars to sit in the chairs. That's the kind of interaction that you need for something like that, because it's too much work to not do that.
So when it's not in transport, does it sit in a storage setup somewhere, or do you have the Enterprise somewhere where you can just kind of walk up and sit down wherever you want?
Yeah, that's funny. There's a local TV show that wanted to use the set, and I said, they said, well, what does it entail? I said, well, number one, it entails a 20 by 20 foot space to put it in, and the precious pieces, the chairs, the computers are in my house. I don't trust those in a storage bin. There's no way. Um, and the bigger, heavier, bulkier, huge fiberglass pieces, those I can store, but not the precious pieces, because nearly every con we go to, they get damaged in some way because either paint scratch or something.
Sure.
And I just need them accessible for when my repairing guys can come in and do certain things. Or I've learned to fix a few things, but the heavy Bondo, molding and all that stuff, I leave to the experts.
Can you, before we get too far, can you walk us through the Kickstarter and then also cover a little bit about the new Starship?
Sure. We got a Kickstarter on right now that's for the Hollywood Science Fiction Museum that we're creating for our bridge, for both of our bridges, plus an NX-01 bridge that a friend of mine has from the show Enterprise, as well as just tons of other props and sets. And this is going to be, well, to me, the coolest museum in Hollywood, but it's going to represent Star Trek, Star Wars, Firefly, Doctor Who, Battlestar Galactica, anything and everything that's science fiction related. And it's in a town that has all the creators, or at least a bulk of them, living here, so they can come visit and bring their family and their mistresses, whatever, and come to our museum and sit in the cockpit of Serenity or sit in the captain's chair of the Enterprise bridge. So this Kickstarter we're doing is to raise the initial funds for this. We can't obviously raise millions of dollars on our Kickstarter from fans. So what we're asking for is $83,000, which will cover the expenses of the development costs, to hire the financial people who will be making those phone calls and getting the grants from the big companies, and all the development costs. And there's a lot of them, as well as legal costs to deal with studios and to deal with just all the nitpicky junk that is not the fun stuff. The fun, cool stuff is once we get that money and we got the, Google and Microsoft and all the other companies giving big chunks of donations for a nonprofit. And that's when we can call up Matt Smith and Karen Gillan and Arthur Darville, who you probably saw in our video, again, and say, hey guys, we're going to do a thing for the Doctor Who props we got. Will you guys do videos for us? And the same with the Star Trek people, and the same with the Star Wars and Battlestar Galactica. Eddie Olmos is doing a video for us, I think next month. But so it's very incestuous as far as the sci-fi community, but right now it really helps us. Every dollar that fans can contribute to this really helps.
Cool. And we will have a link to the Kickstarter project in the description of the video for anybody who doesn't see it, or in the article on the website for anybody who has not yet contributed and wanted to. I have to say that while I am certainly quite far away from Hollywood, this would be an impressive thing to kind of walk in and just kind of see all of these different sci-fi shows and movies in one place. I
There's
think
nothing like it.
Really impressive.
Yeah, there's the EMP Museum, which I love, but they just don't have the room, and also they're not exclusively sci-fi. But the other big element that we're doing that nobody else has ever done, to my knowledge, at least not in a permanent exhibit, is to teach real science and real filmmaking and real elements of this within this world. So, say you love Star Trek, you go in and if you're interested in costumes, you can learn all about that by seeing the costumes and hearing the Westmores talk about. Well, sorry, no, the Westmores were for the makeup, prosthetic effects, but the experts behind the scenes and in front of the scenes, and see the actual props. And the same with STEM-based education. You can, my gosh, the way Gene Roddenberry set up the Enterprise D bridge for Next Generation, he had all the stations laid out. I mean, you could have a whole classroom set up just in the Enterprise D bridge set. You've got science, biology, geology, mathematics, astrophysics. It blows the mind, and all that's totally doable. You could have an entire classroom of kids sit in those chairs, work the computers with touch screens now, and fly a mission, and have Jean-Luc Picard guide you through it. It's incredible, and it blows my mind that nobody has done that before.
It would definitely be really cool to see, and I hope that this happens sooner rather than later for you.
Me too. Although I've got, with our board of directors, Ronald D. Moore, Rick Sternbach, Andrew Probert, all these people, we've got a respect there that we wouldn't have if it were just, who the hell am I? Hi, we're going to say okay, well, how long does that go on for? But then when you get heavyweights on your side who say, yeah, why hasn't this been done yet? That helps, to say the least.
It's very cool stuff. I thank you very much for coming on. Like I said before, you can feel free to stick around if you want, but I'm going to shift gears just a little tiny bit.
Sure.
Sal, it looks like Apple finally bought Beats Audio.
Finally happened. So it's been going on for what, like 2 weeks now, right?
We've heard about it for a couple of weeks, and it's really funny to watch how the articles have shifted from, why this is a good idea and why this is a terrible idea to why the fact that it got leaked early almost made it so it didn't happen.
Yeah.
Just all of this really crazy, silly news surrounding this thing, but now it is done, and the people who worked at Beats, including the kind of cultural icons that head it, are now Apple employees.
Yeah, so Dr. Dre and Jimmy Iovine are going to be Apple brass, reporting directly to Eddie Q, which is something, if you had said a year or two ago, it probably would have blown a lot of minds. And I think still today it is blowing a lot of minds. And Tim Cook spoke really highly of the company, as he would, but he's, I think he said the acquisition would be accretive within a year. So it's going to be adding real money and real value to Apple. Like, how that actually happens is going to be really interesting to see how it plays out, regardless of what you think of Beats or their streaming service, which is not particularly impressive, especially on Apple's scale. But it's pretty wild.
I mean, regardless of what you think about them, Beats Audio is definitely a company that is, they generate quite a bit of revenue, and they have tons of products that are everywhere that everybody knows about. I don't think that we will see, Beats Audio digital enhancements to the next iPhone like we did when HTC had a partnership with Beats Audio, but I think that there will certainly be some interaction there. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out over the next couple of years.
I was never a fan of the kind of with Beats thing. It was just, so for people not familiar with it, it just was a digital EQ setting that changed your levels, your sound output levels, so that it sounded the way, ostensibly that Dr. Dre wanted it to sound. So it made it probably less accurate, or if you were listening to that sort of music, more accurate. But when I mean that sort of music, I just mean like certain types of music. Yeah, it would add for other types of music or text. Listening to spoken word or something, you clearly wouldn't want to have Beats on. So that sort of bass heavy thing is going to be good for just like the way Beats were. What I found really interesting is that the that sort of backlash that's happening right now within the comment stream and stuff like that. I can't find anyone that is like happy about this. Either the Beats people are mad that Apple's kind of taking over this thing that they're into, and then the design firm behind Beats was they're going to be let go and it's going to be taken over or taken in house by Apple. So those people are mad. Then Apple people are just like, oh, Beats headphones are terrible and they're expensive. Why? What's happening here? So so maybe it'll make business sense, but it seems like a lot of people are just either confused or upset or just trying to figure out what's happening with their products.
I think Beats Audio is an easy company to hate, like Monster Cable.
Yeah,
they have a reputation of being kind of overpriced and not necessarily worth it. But I mean, it's a brand image thing. You're paying for a brand. You're paying for whatever the audio tuning that goes into those headphones. And I don't know. I've certainly never appreciated them more than what I've had to go and spend the extra money on them. But you know exactly what you see, like you're on a train or you're on an airplane or something, and you see someone with a pair of Beats Audio headphones. It really stands out what they've got. So I mean, it's definitely something.
Yeah,
which makes me think about whatever happened to the good guys, huh? Circuit City, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So what's your take on the outside of the gadget and technology bubble? What do you feel about the sort of the acquisition and that sort of thing?
Mine?
Yeah, of course.
I've never been able to afford Beats headphones, to be honest. I've tried them out at the Apple Store, along with several other $400 and $500 headphones. They better be amazing for that kind of money, but hey, acquisition. It's like I was watching Mad Men the other day. I mean, acquisition is ending the competitiveness, your competitors, and you envelop everything. Disney, anyone, So,
Yeah.
but if you utilize it as opposed to just squash it, like Henry Ford, I heard did, and some of the early 1900s innovators, I don't think Apple will do that. They may lay off a couple hundred people, but I don't think they're going to not utilize something that they've paid a lot of money for.
Yeah. So I think there's some misconception about how expensive they actually are. They're not cheap, right? But you can get a pair of Beats over-the-ear headphones or on-ear headphones for starting about $160, I think.
They range. I mean, they definitely have crazy expensive versions as well.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But their base models I think are under $200.
Yeah. So when you're walking around seeing people, especially here in New York, you see a lot of people wearing them. I think that's the people are spending a lot, but they're not spending an exorbitant amount, especially considering how expensive headphones can get and sort of the things that we put on ourselves that we wear all the time, our eyeglasses, our jewelry, whatever. We tend to spend more money on that because it's something we associate with us and how we look. So I think from that perspective, it's been really interesting. I think it's cool that people that don't consider themselves particularly gadgety will spend $200 on a pair of headphones just because it's like, they care about this from a style standpoint, but also as a piece of technology. It's functional, it gets the job done.
The most rational explanation that I've ever heard from someone who's not in the technology industry are people who use headphones on like a daily basis.
Yeah.
Like if they sit in an office or something and they have headphones on, is that it's just as important as the quality of the chair you're sitting in. And there are just a lot of people who wear headphones on a daily basis who get that, paying the extra money means that you have a more comfortable set of cans on your head, and that it doesn't give you a headache after wearing them for 8 or 9 hours, which is the only reason that I own the pair that I have. Up until I guess 2 years ago, I don't think I had ever spent more than $40 or $50 on a pair of headphones. But then I had someone explain to me that you got a lot more out of the next bracket up as far as comfort goes, and it made a lot more sense.
Yeah, if you're gonna be wearing something out and you're gonna see your friends, you're gonna be on the subway and seeing people you don't know, and if you want to wear something that looks cool, like I totally understand that. And you know what? If the audio quality isn't quite there, the fact of the matter is most of us are listening to crappy MP3s and stream
Yeah.
Spotify music. So, you're not benefiting a whole lot from
Or
those
even
$400
worse,
headphones.
YouTube playlists.
Yeah, you're listening to a YouTube playlist that you're streaming over 3G. Like, it's so bad. So I think it's fine. I thought some of the more outlandish talk was that people are buying Beats because Apple's buying Beats because it is a wearable, which is wearable in the loosest definition.
You put it on
possible.
your body, yes.
Yeah.
Apple
Wearable.
will also be buying T-shirt company tomorrow because that is a wearable as well. All right, so
that was a bit of a stretch.
Really quickly, I have not played Watch Dogs yet, but it came out this week, so I wanted to give it a mention. I have not heard a terrible amount of good things about this game so far.
Watch Dogs it's been going on for about 2 years. We've been hearing about it. I'm hearing a lot about it. So many trailers, so many pushbacks with the release date. Just, I don't know, so overhyped. I lost interest a long time ago. So maybe it's a bad topic to bring up between us. The PC release was really spotty. They've been catching a lot of flack this week, and then Ubisoft, of course, with the DRM, they cannot get out of their own way there.
Yeah, apparently Uplay has some login issues. There have been a couple of videos that have hit YouTube over the last couple of days that show really weird in-game behavior. There are two poles on the side of the road, and you can't step in between them because the game just didn't feel like, coding that space there, so it's like there's a wall. Just some really weird behavior like that all throughout the game. A lot of the people who have played it said that it's definitely an enjoyable game in much the same way that like Grand Theft Auto or something is an enjoyable game. But I haven't heard a lot of the stuff that I was really hoping to hear about how much fun using like the crazy hacker phone was going to be. I mean, like the whole premise there was that you had this phone that you could walk through the city and just kind of control everything.
Yeah.
And I see very little of that in the videos that people are capturing right now. A lot of it is, kind of the Grand Theft Auto style, jump in a car, ride in a car, shoot a couple of bad guys, and then move on to the next objective. And that makes me sad. I had much higher hopes for this. And while I haven't played it for myself to truly judge it, everything that I've seen so far really makes me want to not part with that $60.
Yeah, don't blame you.
I do that anyway. I just not at a violent level, but I just have my cell phone and I'm looking at some cute girl or something, and I go, "You're going to stand on one leg right now," and then they do it. I go, "Yes!" That doesn't happen that often. I'm just saying. I save myself $60. So
one out of 10 isn't bad. I mean, as long as you can keep that average, then you're good.
Yes, so you will go out with me right now. Yes.
So because we have a sci-fi expert in-house, anything cool or we should be looking at in the world of sci-fi?
What are you watching right now? That's actually a good question.
I know Edge of Tomorrow is going to be pretty good, I hear. Have you probably seen it?
Me? Oh, I have not. My life for the last month I've had no time other than checking emails, doing phone calls, and whatever interviews I can get. But I still haven't seen X-Men. Okay. My God, I'm so depravished. No, repravished. Anyway, no, I just no, it's pathetic.
Impoverished.
And that too. And yeah, I've got this little AMC coupon that it's a freebie, and I can't get to the Mega Complex to even see something that I want to see. It's pathetic. It's really,
after the Kickstarter is a huge hit, and you're swimming in money and boards of directors.
Just gonna binge on sci-fi.
What are you going to see? Is it X-Men? Is it Edge of Tomorrow? Is it Godzilla? Guardians of the Galaxy?
I'm going to. Well, which ones am I going to sneak into, or which? Yeah, no, I'm going to go.
Where's that coupon being spent?
Yeah, exactly. I think X-Men. I think definitely X-Men. I've heard nothing but brilliant stuff about the X-Men movie, and I definitely want to see Godzilla, of course. And there's a list. This sounds name-dropping time. I was going to go yesterday to X-Men, and then the second I was on my way, I get a phone call from Ronald D. Moore, to talk about the museum. And that's, oh my God, okay, well, gone. I mean, but it's those kind of priorities, and I've got to make those priorities because this is the biggest thing in my life right now. So, but as far as movie watching, oh hell yes, X-Men and Godzilla and Edge and yeah, I liked Oblivion too. A lot of people didn't dig that, but and the Bubble Ship was pretty awesome.
It's definitely a cool one.
I thought
Yeah.
Oblivion was very good. I thought it was just a beautiful movie, even if you didn't really care for the plot or whatever. I thought
Yeah,
the
visually it was
cinematography
really
and stuff
cool.
totally made it worth it.
Yeah, plot I thought was a little predictable, to be bluntly honest, but
Yeah.
I didn't
You're
feel
an expert, though.
screwed. Yeah, well, um, I well, no, I'm not so jaded that I'm gonna. Oh yeah, that's gonna. No, hey, if usually I get sucked into something and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's his father, that kind of stuff.
So when you're not, when you have like the occasional breath, we talked about movies there, but are there shows that you're trying to keep tabs on every once in a while as well?
Oh, definitely. Well, Mad Men, I just finished seeing, but of course, Community, God rest it, that was probably my favorite network show. And I mean, Agents of Shield keeps getting better. Unfortunately, saw the first few episodes of it, and it just, didn't do it for me. And
Yeah.
hordes of fans will agree. But that's gotten a lot better, and Game of Thrones, of course, is genius. I still think that's the best produced TV show there's ever been. Period. That's the most like a movie of any TV show. Period. And let's see what else. Of course, Walking Dead. I mean, it's. I have no. I'm not going to say, oh well, it's. I'm not going to name some obscure thing. The obvious ones are. Uh, we're in a world where the most obvious cool shows are also the best ones, which I think's amazing. Has that ever happened before?
No, it's definitely cool. We're definitely in a time where there's some really great stuff on TV, and I am going to name an obscure one because I've recently gotten totally addicted to Orphan Black.
Yes, yes. I only see a little bit of it, but it looked great.
Yeah,
BBC.
yep. I had initially kind of dismissed that show after watching the first two episodes, and then went back and watched a bunch more, and I am completely addicted now.
Yeah, it show's picking up a lot of steam. I haven't watched it, but I've heard enough people recommend it that it's definitely on my list. And it's not so much obscure as it is Canadian, I think.
Oh man.
So before we wrap this up, why don't we hit you with some really annoying and maybe even intrusive questions? Like, what Star Trek movie is your favorite?
What do you think? No, I mean, Star Trek II, Wrath of Khan.
Okay.
I mean, that is the best period. And I'd say following that would be 6, which is Undiscovered Country, which is also brilliant. I remember talking to Brandon Braga one time, who's writer and producer and all that, and he brought up something I'd never heard before that I thought was pretty genius. He said that film made Kirk a racist. Seriously, he hates all Klingons. Let him die. I mean, that's heavy stuff. Taking the hero of all heroes, and Kirk's a racist because it killed his son, and he's seeing them. That's a brilliant subject matter when you think of it in those terms. So yeah, I'd say those, and then unfortunately 5. But of the JJs, I'd say the second one, Into Darkness, was by far better than the first as far as enjoyability.
I just rewatched Into the Darkness for a second time, and I actually enjoyed it a lot more the second time. I think maybe I was just not in the right mindset the first time, but I'm warming up to it. So it's on Netflix now.
Frustrates me so bad because there are so many characters on the bridge that we never get names for or anything like that I really want to learn more about.
Like the cat girl?
There's a cat girl. There's like a weird android dude who's sitting in like this tube thing.
Yeah.
Who gets like one line, and the amount of effort that went into his costume just to deliver that one line was just sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of characters that are on the bridge the whole time that you never get introduced to at all. It really hurt my feelings a lot. Makes me so
Okay,
sad.
and so now the best TNG episode.
Again, it's another obvious thing. Best of Both Worlds
Okay.
is the
Yeah.
most cinematic of all TNG, and then but I mean, there's certain ones. A lot of the ones with Q were brilliant, and Measure of Man is brilliant. That's from second season,
Okay.
where they discuss of Data's an android, and and All Good Things. The most famous ones are also
I mean, they're classics for a reason.
Yep.
yeah. And original series, of course, City on the Edge of Forever is nothing will I don't think will top that.
Oh, what are your thoughts on the new series that's kind of being slowly put together? The Star Trek Continues. They've got 2 episodes out so far, and the third one I think is like 2 weeks away from being released.
Yeah, well, the second one I thought was brilliant, especially the writer. What was his name? Huston Huddleston.
I may or may not have done that on purpose.
Yeah, no. Vic is a friend, and Chris Dune's a friend. All these Grant Mahara, they're all great people, and I haven't seen a lot of the other fan films. I've seen bits and pieces of them, and what I can tell you is I think Continues is the best looking of any fan film, so-called fan film. Just the cinematography is dead on. The camera work is dead on. It looks the most like the original series. And as far as the third one, which I do know about, but Vic would kill me if I said anything. But you've probably seen the poster of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what it's about. But my God, he sent me stills of that thing, and it was just drool city. Yeah, I think, and also the director of that, writer, that's a friend, James Kerwin, and so yeah, I think that's going to be the best. They just keep getting better because they keep learning. It's a learning progress, and they're doing it for no money. They're doing it for expenses only.
Yeah, it was definitely cool. I stumbled upon it, I guess, a month and a half ago, and really, really enjoyed, especially because my roommate had just got finished watching all of the original series, just kind of like in his evening time, and so to kind of go back to that was really cool.
And meeting Lou Ferrigno was awesome too.
Yeah, that was definitely cool. I have an app of the week, Sal, that we can use to kind of wrap up today. But it is crazy expensive. Square Enix has brought Dragon Quest VIII, which is, in my opinion, the best of the Dragon Quests, to Android. And I think to iOS as well, but maybe not today. I don't remember. I haven't gone and looked. But it is $20.
Yeah.
It is the full Dragon Quest VIII. Weirdly, the music isn't there. So like all the audio, like the music, the score to the game is missing, and it's 1.43 gigs. So it's a huge game on your phone or on your tablet, but it is really pretty, and looks very nice. I mean, it's a PlayStation 2 game on your phone, which is an impressive mark for how far that particular technology has come. And really brings us one step closer to Final Fantasy VII on our phones, which needs to happen today.
Yeah, the Dragon Quest series is really great to see on phones. It is out on iOS now, I believe. I think it's also $20, so it's out there. I mean, I guess it seems expensive for an app, but you need to compare it to buying the cart and loading up your PlayStation 2 or whatever Dragon Quest 8 was on. I think you're right. I think it's PlayStation 2. So, from that perspective, it's probably a little bit more palatable, but it's definitely defying our expectations for app pricing. But, Square Enix has done the same thing in the past. Chrono Trigger was expensive. All the Final Fantasy games were expensive. Secret of Mana is still, that wasn't even a good port. I think that's still in the $10 range, and that's a SNES game. So, these companies do not want to devalue their back catalog, and I completely understand that. So, what the super fans are going to buy it. People that already probably have copies, and the other people are just never going to be able to experience the brilliance out of some of these games until the prices drop or they just forget about them altogether.
Right on. All right. Well, Houston, thank you very much for joining us, and then sticking through to the rest of this. We're going to go ahead and close it down for today, and I guess we will talk to everybody later.
Hey,
Well,
awesome.
Thanks for having me. Not to be double entendre there.
Yeah.